Welcome to a golf prep. And what we're going to do here first is we're going to see how the shoulder blades are moving relative to the arms. So what the arms are doing and what the shoulder blades are doing independently and together, what's happening. And as I'm pushing forward into the door jamb, what's happening is I have basically a flexion force. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing forward lightly as I'm trying to raise and lower the shoulder blades as far as I can with those arms in an externally rotated position, the shoulders in an externally rotated position. And now what I'm doing is basically putting one arm on the opposite side of the jamb. So now it's a rotational force. I push back with the right arm and forward with the left arm as I'm checking out what the shoulder blades are doing. Both my arms are in an external rotated position and with the elbows flexed. And what's nice is you can do this going in either direction and see if there's a rotational emphasis that changes how the shoulder blades are actually working, so that this will feed into what we're going to do later. It's basically a diagnostic to see if, is there any pinching, is there anything going wrong with my shoulders in that up position. And we're going to also see what it's like in the down position, basically an internal rotation, and even if that's possible. So we're going in that left rotation position right now because the left arm is pushing back, the right arm is pushing forward as my arms are sliding up and down. My shoulder blades are going up and down like I'm shrugging and depressing. And I'm going to do that same thing, pushing directly back into the door jamb as well, which is nice because all you need for this is a door jamb. What's nice too is that in many places the door jambs are of different sizes. So if you need a smaller door jamb, chances are there is a closet available, or even like the inside of a cupboard or something like that can be used for this, or even just a wall. Like if you can get all the way back on a wall, that can be used as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this with an internal and external rotation of the humerus in that abducted position and see how my shoulder blades are sliding while one is up and one is down. And sometimes this can give you some pretty useful information on how the shoulder blade is actually going to move while your upper arm or that humerus is in a rotated position relative to the opposite arm. And this is a completely different configuration. See if there's any pinching, or if the shoulder blades do not glide, or if the neck feels pinchy, or if it doesn't feel like it's moving as well, or the shoulder blades cannot carry the weight of the arm as well. It's some really cool feedback and different information that you'll find from this. And what I do is I just play with it. I want to see how one works, and then how the other works, and then how both works in all these various positions. And I can do it just like I did the other one, pushing forward, pushing back, one arm going up, one arm going down, one at a time, and then I just switch which one is facing down and which one is facing up. I can also look in various directions because, of course, in the golf swing, your head may be different, in a different position relative to the rest of the body. This I chose to look up to see how my neck in a different position makes my shoulder blades feel, which really helps me set what my intention is for my shoulder blades moving up and down better. Now, this next position is basically tie an elastomer or a band nice and low. And from here, I slide the handle of the band down low so that I can start practicing how to spin my forearm in and out. I use my other hand to notice where my upper arm is going relative to my forearm, so does my humerus and my forearm do. And I do this in varied positions. I do it with my elbow bent, I do it with my arm straight. Remember, you can pause this at any time. I go rather quickly through some of these because I'm just seeing exactly what happens in each position. And then I change the handle up so I have resistance going out or going in at different points of elbow bend. And as I do this, I'm just paying attention. Is this working well? Is my wrist able to bend in this position? So I'm just playing with a bunch of different positions in this and making sure that it's clear cut, that it's easy for me to do. And if I need more space, all I need to do is just back up. So here's a closer look at how I do this with my elbow bent and my other hand holding my forearm to see how my wrist is moving, especially the importance of the wrist flexion, wrist extension, in a varied arm position. Like I did this with my elbow bent. You can also do this with the arm straight by your side. And I take that other arm again to give me some stability as my wrist is folding, really flexing. And then the other way around is it can extend. And we can also go through how the arm goes through, or the wrist goes through, deviations on either side, which just means like if you're going to wave your hand back and forth, those are deviations. So ulnar and radial deviation. See how it feels. See if it's if you're capable of doing it, because sometimes just trying to do this type of deviation movement where my wrist is going back and forth can be pretty tough. It may not move very much. You can see on my left arm that my wrist doesn't move very well. That was actually fractured at one point in time. So you can see that it has some challenges going through that radial deviation when the thumb is trying to come up and control going back. Now I'm going to set this up for seeing how my torso wants to rotate in a standing position. And what I did, you can see how one palm is up and one palm is down. And you can do this. I recommend changing up your hand position on all these and also the torso position. So as I'm trying to rotate right, I'm also seeing, can I tilt my torso and does that feel okay on my body? And I do that from a bunch of different positions. I never changed my hand position on this just because I didn't have the time to go through more positions, explore more positions. But as we're shifting to the opposite side, you're going to notice some changes, or you may notice some changes. You're not going to notice some changes. You may notice some changes. As I'm varying up my rotation, I can try to rotate right. I can try to rotate left. I can switch my hands up. I can also start turning my torso in proportion or in conjunction with my lower half. So my feet may change, but my torso may be rotated completely opposite of where my legs are shoving. And I can do that with varied hand positions. My hands close to me, my hands higher, my hands lower, my hands out in front of me, my hands close to my chest. Notice, is it easy for me to rotate near the end of that position? Is it easy for me to get to full right rotation, try to drive further into right rotation, all the way into left rotation, trying to drive into it? And this is really nice about the stretch rope, is you can do that and it's not going to give. Now, this last piece is just checking out what the hips are doing. I like to see what hip abduction is doing. Yes, you can go through hip rotation and whatnot. Do this on both sides. Just see how the leg slides against a wall. Try to slide the heel against the wall. Make sure the toe is still pointing straight ahead. And then you can put your neck into various positions. You can either support it with the bottom arm, or you can move it in various positions to make sure that if the head is in a different position, that the hip still moves the same way, or moves even better. Like what happens if the leg moves better if the neck's in a varied position. So this is some really good feedback that you can give yourself, as well as finishing up with how your ankles are moving. Can your ankles go up? Can your ankles go down? And use that in order to do some light exercises to get yourself moving, instead of stretching yourself into a position where you may compromise your ability to play your round.